But right now, a story to, well, quite frankly, take your breath away. A family of 4 have recently returned from a huge challenge, trekking all the way to Everest Base Camp, no less. They did it to help raise funds for a school for underprivileged children that they recently opened in India. But not all went to plan, as you'll hear. And Vikash Jayaswal, his wife Rita, daughter Taranam and son Vivan, along with their trainer, Jack Clark, join me now live in the studio. I've got to make sure I put all these microphones up. There's so many of you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We met last time in September on a different radio station at BBC Three Counties, and I was covering a show that went across the East. So our listeners here would have heard that show, so they might be familiar with your voices, Vikash, but that was before you went, wasn't it?
Correct.
When did you actually go? When did you set off?
So we set off on the 30th October, but the trekking actually started on 3rd November.
3rd of November, okay.
Yeah.
And you returned when?
We returned 15th November.
15th of November, so about a couple of weeks you were out there. Okay. First question, how did it go? Was it successful?
It was successful. You know, we did it. But it was a lot more harder than what we thought.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was not so much about the trek. People think it's the trek. Yes, the trek is hard.
Yeah.
But the lack of oxygen after 4,000 meter hits you really hard.
Really?
Really hard. And your appetite goes and you're almost having 1 meal per day.
Right.
And you get very tired even after walking, let's say, 15, 20 steps. So you got to wait so much every time. And your mind is confusing you, you know. Mind is saying you can go, but the body can't.
That's what the lack of oxygen does.
Yes.
And I guess there's no really amount of training you can do to prepare yourself for that, is
Not
there?
really for the lack of oxygen, no.
No. Wow. Now, Jack, you were training the Jayaswals, the family that are in the studio. And I remember speaking to you back in September, and you were quite hard on them, weren't you?
Yeah, kind of. I think that's a fair point to add.
But I think you needed to be, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows, obviously, the task that they had to face. Obviously, a family of 4, respectfully being an ordinary family, it was always going to be a big task.
Oh, good. Now, you also did your own challenge, didn't you?
I dabbled in my own feet as well,
Yeah, which was no mean feat. This was a huge challenge. Just tell us what you did.
So I took on the height of Mount Everest to the summit on a stair climber in the gym.
Oh, my goodness.
Totaling 11 hours and 54 minutes.
So that was constant?
Yeah, unbroken.
11 hours, so almost 12 hours.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Didn't step off it once.
I mean, that is a huge challenge. We'll come back to you, Vikash and family, very, very soon. But that is in itself a massive challenge. Yeah. And you did it to raise funds as well, didn't you?
Yeah, for this incredible cause, Hike for Galaxy,
Yeah, if you could tell us a bit about the school that you've opened. It's for underprivileged children. Why did you decide to do this, to open the school?
Because when COVID struck, we thought of first setting up a food bank. But then what we thought was, once these children eat, they'll be hungry in another 3 or 4 hours' time again. So why not give them the means to earn their living so that they can buy the food themselves?
Right.
And that's how the concept of a school started forming in our minds. It was a very difficult task. You know, opening a school is not an easy...
It can't be.
It isn't. But here we are. We set it up for underprivileged children, particularly for first-generation learners.
Yeah.
Nobody in their school and nobody in their families have ever been to school, and these are children who would probably work in factories, and their parents would send them to factories to work to earn a daily living. And so these are the children we target so that they can go to school, and so we provide free meals, free uniforms, free books, free education, free meals, because sometimes these meals are the only incentive for the parents to send their children to school.
Wow. Okay.
And we already have 100 students, and we're trying to raise funds so that we can expand it and go up to 300 students.
Okay, so how's the fundraising going?
The fundraiser is going very well, actually. We've raised £30,000 in cash.
That's amazing.
And £15,000 by way of IT equipment, thanks to Jack and his instrumental, brilliant efforts.
I can't take credit for that. That'll be Reece Williams. Just so I add.
Okay, good mention. Well done.
So it's going very well, actually.
That's
we aim to raise
fantastic.
50,000. So let's
see. The aim is 50,000, yeah?
Yes.
Well, you're well on the way, aren't you, to getting that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, listen, we'll get back to the intricacies of your trek, which is just not something you do every day, going to Everest Base Camp. It's amazing. But as big and as grand as that task is, what I can't get my head around is you've brought your 2 children with you. You've got Taranam. How old are you, Taranam?
14.
You're 14. And Vivan, you are?
11.
11. I can't imagine doing it. I'm pushing 50. And these 2 youngsters, I mean, how was it for you, Vivan? How was the experience?
A lot tougher than we thought it was.
Really? Did you feel like giving up at any time, or were you like really super focused?
I did feel like giving up sometimes.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Knew it was for a cause, so I carried on.
Oh, bless you.
Didn't give up.
So you thought of those underprivileged children and what the money would mean to them, to the school, and that's what kept you going?
Yes.
Fantastic. And Taran, what about you? What was going through your mind through this experience?
Yeah, it did get really, really hard sometimes, but as Vivan said, it was for the cause, so we carried on.
And did you need extra motivation from your parents, or were you kind of self-motivated?
No motivation from my parents.
I want to know about the actual experience now of reaching. It was in Nepal you went to, wasn't it?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and wasn't there an earthquake while you were there?
Yes. We got a lot of messages if we are okay or not, but that was not on the part where we went.
In.
Okay. Well, that's good. So talk me through, Vikash, kind of the process, the trek, and what were the kind of highlights and lowlights?
Well, I always, when we finished the trek, I divided into 4 sections. The trek itself, which is obviously we all knew is quite hard. The oxygen level, the weather, which was extremely cold, and the facilities. But out of the 4, the trek was the easiest. Can you believe it? Yeah.
Really?
Trek was the easiest. It was the oxygen and the facilities and the cold was very, very hard.
Talk to me about the facilities. What do you mean?
So facilities is like, the facilities are very basic. So you go where you sleep, the bedrooms, they are never heated. So when you do a 10-kilometer trek, hard trek, you want to go back in like a warm room. It's not heated.
Oh, no.
It's got no electric point. It's got nothing. And a lot of time, can you believe it? The toilet was outside the building.
No way.
And there was no light or door in the toilet. So
how did you manage?
So in the let's say 2 a.m., someone needs to go to toilet. We'll have to get up, take a head torch, and then walk outside the building in about minus 10 degree for about 20 meters.
Yeah.
In a head torch, and then go to the toilet.
That's crazy.
And the worst bit, you can't even flush because it's frozen.
Oh my goodness, Vikash.
Taking a turn, isn't it?
Yeah. Honestly, that bit I really find it very hard.
Yeah, I would find that hard, and I can't comprehend it until you're actually there. You can't imagine what that must be like.
There was no hygiene. It was like that, and everyone, you just can't do anything.
Well, no, I mean, you have to just go with it. You've got to go with it, I suppose. Now, Rita, I just want to touch on the fact that you had a hard time at one point, didn't you? Just talk us through what happened there.
Day 9 evening, my oxygen levels started to drop, and after a certain level, everybody had to have their oxygen levels checked every day, so they kept fluctuating for everybody, but mine started dipping on the evening of day 9 and just would not go up. So they put me on an oxygen cylinder, so I had oxygen, access to oxygen all throughout the night. But on the morning of day 10, my levels still started dipping to the 60s.
Wow.
So then the guide said, there's no way we can take a risk. And so they evacuated me to Kathmandu.
Okay.
And all I could think of then was, everybody keeps asking me now, were you scared? Were you scared? I wasn't scared at all at that point of time. I am now as to what could have happened.
Oh, really?
But at that point of time, all I could think of was, because we were supposed to reach base camp on day 11.
Yeah.
So all I could think of was, let my oxygen levels go back to normal so that I can reach base camp, because I was only 6 kilometers away.
Oh,
so we had done 90% of the trek.
Oh, no.
So it was heartbreaking, very disappointing, but nobody can tell whose body is going to react how.
Of course.
To the oxygen levels.
And your health comes first.
Yes.
You have to look after yourself first. So as heartbreaking as it must have been, you did 90% of it, which is huge in itself. I wouldn't be able to do 10% of that, to be honest. It's amazing. But then how did you feel when you heard that your husband and your 2 children had made it?
Oh, brilliant, because I always knew they would.
Yeah.
I always knew in my heart that they would be there. They would reach base camp. So it was brilliant.
Amazing. What a feeling. And Jack, you must be so proud of them.
Yeah, honestly, it just means the world. Seeing what we did prior to it, everything that they put in, there was no cutting corners at all. From the training, from the mindset, to their attitude towards it all. It was all very, very well taken.
Yeah.
I'd like to add one more thing.
Please.
When we were trekking, what was really motivating was there was not a single person of their age.
Really?
Yeah, there were no other children.
No other children.
Wow.
And every trekker, when they would see Vivan and Turnum, would cheer them.
Wow.
And that was really amazing.
That is amazing. How did that make you feel, Vivan?
Motivated.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I mean, it's such a special thing to do. So, from people you spoke to, did they say that it's quite rare for kids of that age to do this?
Yeah. I mean, we took 11 days to go up and about 3 to 4 days to come back. So 14 days. We haven't seen any children of that age, even near to that age.
Wow, it's amazing.
And that's why when anyone was seeing them, they were like quite amazed. And they were getting inspiration.
Wow.
You could see on their face.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you all so much for coming in.
Thanks.
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate it. Lovely to see you all, and we'll see you again soon, hopefully. That'll be great. Stay with us, because after Michael Bublé, I'm going to be playing for you today's Sunday Sound.